Let's go, baby. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. GMGP. It is still the morning time. Pulling up with me and my dog, DP Damian Parson. Y'all know my dog. Locked on NFL Draft. He's got his own YouTube channel. You got to get there. If you want scouting, if you want prospects, if you want NFL Draft, college football, link is in the description. We got my dog in the building, DP. Y'all know it is your boy RayG. You can find me on X at RayGQ. And today, we got a show for y'all, man. Me and DP have been chopping it up behind the scenes. NFL Draft, you were just saying, you are shocked and surprised that it's, a month away, 5 weeks away to the NFL Draft, DP? We already here, baby.
Yeah, bro. It went by quick, bro. It went by quick. We had, New Year's, we brought the 2026 year in, and then a couple sleeps, and then just the Senior Bowl, couple more sleeps since the Combine. We're in pro day season, and we're literally a month away from the 2026 NFL Draft. Free agency's done. Ray, you got, this wide receiver conversation we're going to have on this show is going to be fun. Got some potential landing spots that we didn't expect to open up until this week, man. So I'm excited, bro.
Yeah, man. And I'm tweeting it out right now. I'm posting it out right now. I said DP is going to tell us why he loves that analytics over film. We're going to do a little film versus analytics, not debate, but, DP, you and I both love football first and foremost. And that's what I tell a lot of people. I think a lot of cats get into the game because they play fantasy football or they want to, their end desire and goal is to scout for an NFL team. You and I, man, we love the game, and we would do this whether we were getting paid to do it, when we weren't getting paid to do it. The game has taught me so much about life, how I try to instill stuff into my kids. I know you feel the same way as a former player yourself, but every draft season, and more so this one compared to other ones, we run into this spot, this period of time where two composing viewpoints on how you analyze players, they sort of come to a head. It comes to a boiling point, and you've got what I call the film, right? The people who trust the tape. Like, the game is played on the field. I can find out everything that I need to know about a player by watching the tape, the shit that they actually did in the season, right? The game film, not the combine, not the Just Bomb Productions highlights, but watching the actual film. But then, DP, there is a large section of folks who say, I don't got to watch 20 games to tell you how good of a receiver Jordan Tyson is. I don't need to watch 30 hours of film to tell you how this offensive line prospect is going to stack up historically against other players based on data and information that we've gathered and consumed. So before we get into the rankings debate, let's just start there. You are a film guy. That is the foundation of your process. You trust the tape, what these players do on wax. Just talk about how you go about scouting, and we'll get into some differences, differing opinions, but just your process when it comes to film in these prospects.
Yeah, man. Of course, it's always going to be position based. You know what I mean? Look for different specific things. Like with quarterbacks, you're looking for, hey, field vision. Does he process information quickly? Go through his reads. And those are the things that film will absolutely show you. I remember talking about Tyler Shuck last year. I said the reason why I like Tyler Shuck compared to some of the other quarterbacks was that I watched him at Louisville go from 1 to 2 to 3. Going through his progressions when you gave him time, able to read the full field. And I think I want people listening to understand, like with quarterbacks, especially when you watching film, you look to see, okay, are you somebody that handles full field reads? Or are you a hash to sideline guy to where typically when you're watching tape, you see a guy get open on the backside of the formation, you got to understand whether or not that's a full field read that he's handling or a half field read. Because if it's half field, what happens backside doesn't really matter as much because that's not part of the progression. He's got 1 to 2 from the hash to the sideline, and then he's got to make a decision. Now, if it's full field, yes, you got to get off the reads and stuff. So for me, it's just kind of watching the film, seeing the mental. The mental part is so big for me, first off. And that I wasn't always like that, Ray. I used to be big into and I still am, for athleticism, physical tools. I'm still there, but I watch for every position. IQ, processing, intellect, right? Like, because I think I tweeted out yesterday, we got play speed versus time speed. And the difference is time speed, you're just running in a straight line without thinking. play speed, you got to process information, you got to show
Right.
football IQ, you got to read. You know what it's like. You got to do all these different things. So for me, that's kind of where it starts, is looking at the mental aspect of the game, seeing that stuff on film, and then looking at of course, the physical, the measurements, the athleticism, the raw talent and physical tools, because the mental aspect gets you drafted. The physical aspect, if you fully develop with the physical tools, that raises the ceiling. So like the mental aspect sets the floor, the physical aspect sets the ceiling. Then, as I told you when we were talking, through this week through text, I've gotten more over the past couple of years, dove more into the analytics, because I believe you're supposed to marry those two together, make sure what's shown on the spreadsheet matches what's on film. Like I've seen some companies chart guys, receivers for drops. Then I look at the drops that they charted, and I'm like, that's a PBU. You know what I mean? That's
right.
The DB punched the ball out. So it's more about just kind of, understanding what, and big thing about it is just figuring out what a player can do, what they can't do. And then for those listening, when I get to that, what they can't do or what they haven't shown, is it something that they can learn? Is it something through NFL coaching, through getting a position specific trainer in the off season that you can work on? If you're getting on, Ray, you know this, if you get on a corner because he doesn't, like, his back pedal is a little slow or sluggish, you can work on that. You know what I mean? You tell him that, hey, we want to kick step in the box to mirror and match a guy in press man. You can absolutely work on that. Being able to flip your hips and have smooth, oily hips, yeah, that might not be something we could work on. If you're stiff, you're stiff. You know what I mean? It just kind of is what it is. So that's how it works for me, Ray. I'm big on the film first, then I grab the analytics and I try to pair it together.
What if I told you? What if I just told you, hey man, I can tell you how good this player is going to be without watching any of that? What if I just told you that? What if I said, based on this historical data, I don't even want to draft this guy. He is low on my board. There's no way you can take this player round one because he didn't break out till he was 22 years old in college. His yards per route run level was under 2.0 threshold. And I've got all these lists of players, DP, that say if you take a player of this caliber, you're getting Treylon Burks, you're getting Jalen Reagor, you're getting Rashad Penny. What if I told you I can tell you all of that stuff without ever watching a single drop of film? What would you say to that?
I would say teach me, so to make my process that much easier. You know what I mean? Like, show me the way. If you can give me all that information, but I will counter it to, okay, and I know that there's a lot of data out there. That's why I say I've been scouring, learning, trying to figure out the yards per route run thing. For me, I see a lot of the fantasy community. Shout out to the fantasy community. Nothing but love over here. I run my own, fantasy league every year, stuff like that. Got crazy enough. A little nugget. I was in a league in my first ever, what do you call it? I think it was like a super flex dynasty league a couple years ago.
All right.
With some fantasy folks from Twitter. I'm pretty sure I got out of the league after like the third year because like they draft so early in the year. I hate it. I couldn't stand it.
Okay.
I'm just trying to live life. And you're like, hey, we need to draft in like April. I'm like, the draft hasn't even happened yet, man. So it was driving me nuts. I was like, I gotta get out of here. But I was out for somebody who wasn't accustomed to it. I was in the playoffs 3 straight years, and I'm pretty sure I won the title once. I might have got to the finals.
You ain't win no damn league, DP. Get out. You ain't win no damn league.
I won the league. I promise you, brother. I won the league. I'm pretty sure Steffi Smalls was in there. A couple other folks from the fantasy space, and I was like, man. It's kind of caught me off guard that I was able to build a team that well in my first time doing it. But shout out to the fantasy community, nothing but love, man. But yeah, I would probably counter it to, Ray, and just say, all right, with that information, now tell me what scheme does he fit? Like how is a team supposed to utilize him in the NFL? Like I think when you talk about the yards per route run, and this is one that I've gotten a chance to not fully debunk, but I think will be debunked, is Zachariah Branch. I'm gonna tell you why I say that.
Okay.
Georgia's OC, Mike Bobo, much respect to him. He's probably one of the OCs in college football I trust the least. Because when you look at Oscar Depp, who just ran at his pro day and tested at his pro day, was it 2 days ago? 4.48 in the 40. You know what I mean? 4.48, he's 6'5", 245. He jumped 38, 10-inch broad. And you see that on tape too, Ray. But you know what they didn't do? they didn't utilize this young man correctly. They didn't give him the ball. They didn't feature him half near at all. If you remember Todd Monken was there. Todd Monken got Oscar Delp going. He got Brock Bowers. Like, he would get, no matter who was at tight end or who was your number one weapon, he got him going. Look what he did with Zay Flowers in Baltimore. If I have a number one weapon, if I have that game changer, that playmaker, I'm going to get them the ball. For me with Zachariah Branch, they asked him to do a lot of yards, run after catch stuff. But then you watch the quarterback. I was like, okay, this is, to me, is tied to the quarterback. And then it's the fact of, well, we're going to use you where you're most dangerous, and that's the yak. So for me, when he went to the combine, I'm there and I'm sitting there in the stadium and I'm watching them run. Well, I think we talked about, I didn't care what he ran in the 40. That stuff didn't bother me none. I knew you were going to be a sub 4.4 guy. He's that explosive. I wanted to see how you plant and cut at the apex of your routes. Were you able to, is there wasted movement? Are you sharp? Are you sudden? Is there quickness in and out of your breaks? Because when you have that athleticism, if you can move well, that translates to the routes, right? So I saw that and I'm like, okay, this gives me more confidence of, hey, can we expand that route tree of yours? Because in the NFL, you can't live off screens alone.
You can't.
Right? So I think you can't do that. So I think his yards per route run were like 1 point something,
low.
maybe under
Very
a
low.
yard or something.
Very
it's
low.
Super low. And I think that's, a lot of times we blame the players when we see numbers like that. And I'm like, let's go look at the film. And I'm watching the other receivers and I'm just like, well, you guys aren't doing a whole lot in this offense either. You know what I mean? And it's like, I put it on the quarterback situation and then I put it on the OC. It's like, all right, because think about this. Georgia has never had that like game-changing quarterback since maybe Matthew Stafford. They had Fields for a little bit, and then he transferred to Ohio State. They got like the 5-star kid, Jaden Rashad. I don't know what the heck happened with that.
Yeah.
I think he went to Arizona State and then somewhere else. And they've lived with the game manager type, the Stetson Bennett, the Jake Fromms, the Gunnar Stockton, the Carson Becks.
Yep.
They love Kirby Smart has a type at quarterback, right? And none of those guys were true push the ball down the field type. So I just think, I want to those metrics that everyone uses. It's so important, and that's why I want to marry it to the film to be able to put it together. Say, okay, let's paint the picture, right? You can't paint the picture without all of the. I need a paintbrush. I need the paint, and I need the canvas.
And
everything
the canvas.
Together.
Yep. I'm with you. When I started off, it was all film. Everybody watching, former. I thought about this the other day. I always say I'm a former player. You know how long ago it was since I played college football, dog? 20 plus years, DP. God is good. I'm blessed to be here, man. But yeah, I played 2004, 2005, 2006, and now we're in 2026. I still feel like I can go get it, but probably need to stay my old black ass at home and not be trying to go out there and play football anymore. But it was all about the film. I don't care. You can't play a game on a spreadsheet, dude. I don't care what that stuff says. Like, I'm looking at this player thrive in this situation. And when you watch the film, you can see the context. Like, there is no quarterback here. Casey Concepcion's working with the best he's got at A&M with Marcel Reed. And Reed could be as good as he is as a college quarterback, but we know that's probably not going to translate to the next level. And I'm not here to dump on Marcel Reed right now. But I have learned that there are some things where you look at the data and you're like, okay, is the arm length thing for real when you're talking about tackles? Do I need to fade tackles who have sub whatever that threshold is for arm length? Is that a reason why I shouldn't draft Ruben? I think Ruben Bain is going to be a really good case study this year because you turn on the film and find me a more dominant player in college football this year outside of Ruben Bain. Just pound for pound, bar for bar, rep for rep, just the consistency versus the run versus the pass. And then you look at the measurables and you're like, well, he isn't Myles Garrett type size. He doesn't have that type of arm length. He doesn't have some of the physical gifts of some other players, but is that a reason why I'm not going to draft him? Is that a reason why I don't want my team to take this guy? It's a tough thing to sort of reconcile with. And I think you answered it the best way, right? There's a blend of both. Film provides what the player did. Like, what you put on wax happens on film, and then it provides a layer of context to let you know, hey, I know he didn't hit 1,000 yards, but look at what was going on. in the offense. And my final piece, and you will 100% agree with this, for anybody out there that thinks these collegiate coaches, that their job is to prepare these guys for the NFL, to get them ready to operate an NFL offense, to call schemes, to recognize offensive formations from the defensive side of the ball. If you think that's what's happening in college to prep them for the NFL, I'm sorry to tell you that is the furthest thing from the truth. You know what the collegiate coach's job is? To win games in the damn SEC, to win a Big 12 championship, to win a Big 10 title, and you're going to run my scheme, right? I don't care if you're a square peg. You're going to fit into my round hole, hell or high water, because I'm the coach and that's my job. And a lot of times you get these players who, like, they're like, this is not the system for me. Like, this is, that's not my game. I'm not a zone scheme back. This is not how my pass, like, it's so different between what happens in the NFL and what's going on in college, DP. But listen, we got to talk some wide receivers, because this draft class at this position is uniquely positioned to be, I think, probably a little bit better than people gave it credit for coming in. And what we're going to do right now is not have your ranks. We're not going to have my ranks. You can follow my stuff for my rankings in my private community. Check out DP's content for his ranks. We're going to pull up a consensus top 10 wide receiver rankings according to 50-plus draft analysts. You're included in this subset. I'm included in this subset. Mel Kiper, Daniel Jeremiah, all of them. 50-plus analysts, and here's the consensus rankings for these players, and then you and I are going to have a little debate. Who's too high? Who's too low? Who doesn't deserve to be on this list? Who should be included on this list? And there's no holds barred right here, DP. We have not looked at this list together. We have not shared rankings with one another. We're just going to talk about what we've seen, how we feel, how we're evaluating these guys right now. Does that sound good to you?
Let's do it, baby.
All right, let's pull it up, man. Here it is. Top 10 consensus wide receivers, 50-plus draft sources. We've got a clear top 3. Those names are highlighted in yellow. At the top, Carnell Tate at number 1, wide receiver, Ohio State. Number 2, Jordan Tyson, wide receiver out of Arizona State. And then at 3, we've got the wide receiver, Makai Lemon, hailing from USC. Fight on, my Trojans. And I'm going to tell you right now, another show for another day. I'm feeling excited about my Trojans this fall. I'm feeling excited about my SC Trojans this fall. But let's start with the number 1 consensus wide receiver in the 2026 class, DP, Carnell Tate. 6'3", about 200 pounds, ran a 4.5 40-yard dash at the combine. We know that he played next to a very talented wide receiver in Jeremiah Smith that we will talk about next year. But Carnell Tate being listed as the number 1 wide receiver in 2026, DP, agree or disagree?
Disagree. I have Jordan Tyson slightly over him. They are like 1A, 1B for me. Love Tate. I'll give you guys my comp for Tate too. My comp for Tate is Devonta Smith.
Okay.
He came in at 6'2",
okay,
198, springy athlete. The catch radius is there. The arm length and wingspan is there. The ability to high point the ball. But he's such a just technically sound route runner. He's a tactician, a technician. He knows how to set you up, how to move you, use his stem to dictate where you're going. And I always, like, for those in the chat, those watching on Twitter or YouTube, when you're watching wide receivers, watch how they attack corners and how they attack the gate, the hips of the corners, because that's how you control the rep. Is if a guy doesn't want you to open the gate, you force him to do so you can get to your spots, right? It's the same thing like in basketball, Ray, and everything. I remember when I interviewed the JCU wide receiver Tyron Montgomery, and for those who know, he started as a basketball recruit. He said like that, it's the same thing. Running routes, your release package and everything is basically crossing over without the basketball and being able to move guys. It's the same thing. So when I watch Tate, I see a guy that just knows how to get it done. You know what I mean? And he looks like Ray. You've seen it. We watch tape with a guy. I'm like, man, that guy looks like a pro. Like it's just something you say. It's just like, or you may not even say. You just think it like, man, he looks like a pro. And it's like his game is professional. So for me, I have him as that wide receiver 1B to Jordan Tyson. I think my issue with him is
Yeah, give me your issue. Give me your
Yards-
issues with Tate. Give me your issues with Tate. I need to
So-
hear what it is that has you a little hesitant having him as a top guy in this class.
So for me, I think it goes back similar to Smitty, really, to Devonta Smith. And
Okay.
remember, he came into Philly as a top 12, top 15 pick.
Yep.
He had one season as the wide receiver 1. That very next draft, they traded the first round pick and went and got AJ Brown. And I think from to go get that true like alpha, as a lot of people like to use, the alpha wide receiver 1. When I look at Tate, I see Tate as a good 1B to a 1A. I think my issues with him, or my main issues with him, is play strength. He's great at the catch point. When I see guys make contact with him either at the line of scrimmage or at mid-stem, you can knock him off his route pass. So you can throw off the timing of the route. You know how much with the influx of West Coast schemes in the NFL, timing is paramount. You want your break point to be timed up with the drop of your quarterback. So as you're getting open, your quarterback's his back foot's hit, he's loaded, he's ready to throw. If I tell my corners to get physical with the guy like, Carnell Tate, we can limit and disrupt that timing, make him kind of get him out the progression a little bit. You know what I mean? If you're playing as the outside, whether it's the X or the Z, I feel good about telling my guys, press him, get physical, and armbar him to the sideline, right? Be able to squeeze him to the sideline with physicality. You could turn, put yourself in position where you're basically boxing him out. You're playing kind of like you're fronting him as a guy in the post in the NBA on the hardwood. Hey, you want to throw it into the paint? I got a guy fronting him. So if you throw it up there, he can go make the play on the ball. And then it's Yak, Ray. I think the yards after catch, I want to see him like he's such a I thought he was 6'3", he came in at 6'2", but he is a leggy guy in terms of where his height is. He's got long legs. So like you see when he catches the ball and as good as a route runner, but then, we catch the ball. If he's in tight, confined spaces, I don't see a guy that translates short area quickness to hit you with a jab step, spin move, juke move, like to really be able to create those angles and avenues on his own. What I would call for to get him Yak, throw him to the void. Throw him into an open space. Let him turn upfield and let that long stride get going. Let him start to gallop. Because I compare him to a gazelle. When people are worried about the 40 time, I'm like, I don't care. He's a gazelle. He glides. When that stride opens up and he picks him up and puts him down, he pulls away, right, at top end speed. But that's how I want to utilize him to get the Yak, is I want to create it for him, because he doesn't showcase on film that innate ability to, hey, I don't have the absolute movement skills to put a move on multiple guys. If I throw a slant to him, and I got the cornerback side, I got the linebacker there, I can crowd him, and I know that play is probably going to end where he catches that ball.
I don't disagree with anything that you said. I do think that there is a little bit of play strength that's lacking, and he didn't have to face a lot of that because of who he was playing with as well. I don't want to get this. I don't want to confuse this for things were easy for him because he played opposite Jeremiah Smith. But he did not face press coverage at the rate that a lot of other receivers in this class did, because it was catch-22 in that Ohio State offense. The Yak is problematic. I don't think that he is the type of receiver that you're going to get the ball to quickly early on and just say, go create, right? There was a play, I think it was versus Michigan, where they hit him on a flat route, and it looked like it was walk-in touchdown. He had to make one guy miss in the open field. Didn't do it, got tackled. And I'm not cherry picking one thing to put him down, but it's one of those ones where I'm like, hey, you need to make a move and get in the zone. Here's where I came away more impressed with Carnell Tate than I thought I would be going into the season. I did a summer scouting video on Carnell Tate, never posted it. Not for no other reason than I think I forgot to edit something, but I was like, I really need to see more from him in 2025 to have him in my top tier of wide receiver. And DP, when I turned on the tape, what I saw is somebody, once he does open up downfield, his ability to move in route, in phase, make that subtle jab step to create the separation downfield is paramount. I think that he's got the best sideline awareness in the class. He knows where his feet are when the ball is thrown on the out routes, whether it's an out, a corner route. like the two-tap, toe-tap Tony, Antonio Brown, they used to call him. Tate's ability to just, I know where I'm at on the field at all times. His ability to track the ball, outstanding. There's a play versus Grambling. It looks like a normal over-the-shoulder catch, but he's going this way and the ball is that way. And he just, boom, brings it in beautifully. I think those are things that are very reminiscent of characteristics of a high-end number 2 wide receiver. That's what I think Carnell Tate is. Do I think he's the type of guy, day one, that can come in and be a number 1 in an offense? Maybe. But I think he is best positioned as a number 2 wide receiver to somebody that is an established one that can win a little differently, right? And my play style comparison for him is George Pickens. That's who I compared him to. And I think about what Pickens did early on. Like, there was a match, the George Pickens that we got this year in Dallas was a much different version of what we got early his first couple of years in Pittsburgh. I think some of that is his learning and growth. It obviously is the quarterback. When you go from a Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson to Dak Prescott, that opens up some of the things that you can do to highlight your skill set. I think he's a very high-end number 2 wide receiver. I don't know. I think about this. Down here in Dallas, I remember when Dallas drafted Michael Gallup, and they threw him out there early his rookie year to be the pseudo number 1. It was before they drafted CeeDee Lamb. And about 5 weeks into the season, you know what Dallas did? They traded for Amari Cooper. They were like, hey, Gallup is all right, but we got to get another receiver in here, right? And I think Tate is a much better receiver than Michael Gallup. To me, when I charted him, every target from this year, he graded out as my top guy. I was very impressed with his downfield work. I think the speed is fine. I don't think he's not a burner, but I don't think it's a detriment to his game at all. I love what he does down the field. I love his sideline ability. I think he's a very, very good wide receiver, but I want to transition to Jordan Tyson. Your one, my one coming into the season. And when I graded him out, he fell into that number 3 wide receiver bucket. Him and Makai Lemon were separated by 2/100ths of a point. 2.69, 6.29, 6.27. So they're back-to-back. 1A, 1B, 2 and 3, they're back-to-back. But Jordan Tyson came in as my 3, but he was 1 coming into the season. For me, I think his ability to win quickly is outstanding. I think he's got a nice first step. I think he can play really, really well. The game that popped up for me that gave me a little bit of concern was the Utah game. And I don't know who number 2 is from Utah. I don't know who that cornerback was, but he had Jordan Tyson in hell all night long. He was physical with him. I'm not as concerned about the injury history. I know a lot of people are going to bring that up. It was a freakish thing. He stepped on the field at Colorado, led Colorado in receiving as a true freshman. He's got sports pedigree in his body. His brother plays in the NBA, was a first-round pick. I think he's outstanding at the catch point. I think he's really, I don't think we got confirmed times on Tyson, and maybe we won't, but he's fast enough in my book. I think he's a good number 2 wide receiver. I think that's where I'm going. I think a lot of these guys are really, really good number 2s that maybe they can develop into it. Nobody thought Terry McLaurin, DP, was going to be a number 1 as a 3rd-round pick out of Ohio State. Nobody thought that was going to happen. Talk to me about Jordan Tyson, who's number 2 on this consensus board right now.
Yeah, man. Jordan Tyson, like you said, the quickness, the suddenness at the line of scrimmage. This is a guy that hard jab steps and plants and cuts, good body control. You saw that. I can't remember which game it was early in the season. He's working the over route from the backside of the formation, settles into the soft spot. Sam Levitt, guy that's devoid of playing on time or in rhythm at quarterback, rolls out, jump throws, almost looks like Michael Jordan symbol on the throw. And you see Jordan Tyson catch the ball, turn up field, leap over a defender, get 1 foot in, and then dove into the end zone. So you see that athletic ability that he has, right? But not only that, he makes some just outstanding catches. I think it was it's either this year or last year versus Kansas State. He he works up, I think, either a post or a seam route in the high red. The ball is so overthrown, but he goes up with one hand, snatches it, gets the toe in bounds. And I'm just like, see, some of these soft tissue injuries probably come from the fact you overextend yourself to make some of these plays on the football from just the inaccuracy that you see, or the ball placement rather, issues with Sam Levitt. But I think with Tyson, man, he projects as the most well-rounded guy. I know the yards after catch analytics don't show it, but when I was watching the film and I was talking to my guy Daniel Harms, shout out to Dan.
Shout out Dan.
We both watched them, and Dan was like, "Man, I feel like," he's like, "one of my issues watching Tyson is his quarterback doesn't give him the ball to let him get yak." I was like, "Nah, he really ever gets it on time." And I was like, "That's a problem for me, because it's like, if I'm open, hit me, like anticipate my break. I've been your starting receiver for 2 years now. Like, anticipate my break, throw the ball out early, get it there, so that I can turn up field and make a play." I go back to that Texas Tech game. He tweaked his hamstring early in that game. He refused to come out of that game, right? And I think about, just in the context of Ray, think about having a guy. How many times we see guys tweak something, they go out, they never come back in.
Yep.
Think about that being a college football playoff game, the national championship game, and he doesn't come off the field. That final drive, you see Tyson just win time and time again on that final. Hamstring's not healthy at all. Like, you can see him just between plays.
He was laboring. Yep.
And it was pretty bad. And I remember him running the out route again. Quarterback doesn't throw it on time, so he breaks it upfield. He hits him. Then he makes the play after the catch. The very next play in the low red zone, he runs an out route. He rocker steps the guy, makes the guy. It looks like a crossover at the and one mixtape park, because he rocker steps him. Dude touches the ground. I'm like, so he make you touch earth. He's wide open, 2 feet in. They get the first down. I think he was open on the very next play, but he didn't get the ball for the game when a touchdown. They went to someone else. I just see a full skill set of, I can project. And a lot of times, guys, there goes projection into everything we do. So I project that he can beat. You get him with a quarterback. I think I know somebody has talked about this, or you may have seen it on film too, that he's not the most efficient against zone. And I was like, in zones, you're typically trying to get to a spot for timing. Well, their offense isn't really based on timing.
Not timing.
It's more so off of it's creativity from him and the quarterback. It's a lot of backyard football. Remember, I told you in the summer about Sam Levitt. I was like, this is chaotic watching this kid. Like, you know what I mean? And he just plays like that. I think I told Keith on the Locked In for the Draft podcast, he reminds me of watching Johnny Manziel. Like, it's just like no rhyme or rhythm to it. It's just like helter skelter. I'm out of here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna make a play.
It's the Sam Levitt. It's the Sam Levitt experience. It's the Sam Levitt experience.
I love that. I love having that, but that can't be your go-to as a quarterback. And I think that's what throws off some of the zone stuff, is that you think about getting him, if he goes to San Fran, you know you're going to have to be at your spot for Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy says, he's already said it on the podcast thing last offseason, I can't see downfield. So I throw to spots. I anticipate and I throw.
That's what
he
said.
Be there where your guy needs you to be there. You know what I mean? So I think you get him with a quarterback in the offense that's more timing based. You'll see it's not that he can't throttle down and work into the soft spots. It's just, well, if I do that, it's not a guarantee my quarterback's going to be back there waiting on me to throw. He's probably going to be out of the pocket. Now I got to flow to the side with him. So I think ball skills improved. I think he had like 7 or 8 drops in 2024. He only had 1 drop in 2025. He's making better plays on the ball. Remember the route against Baylor, the rocker step in the red zone. He jumps too early. Yep. You're like, you're not going to get the ball. And then somehow he hangs in the air.
Yep.
And it's just like I'm like, yeah, this is a different cat, man. So I think the injuries, and I want to speak to the injuries real quick. And I have a podcast the other day talking about that. I'm Locked In for the Draft. It's supposed to be dropping as a bonus pod. You remember when Derek Stingley got drafted 3rd overall?
Mm-hmm.
In was that 2022? You remember how many games he played his last 2 years in college football? He played 10 total games. 10 total games. And this was a guy that he had a Liz Frank injury in 2021. After 2019, Derek Stingley never finished a full season healthy at LSU. 2020, it was 10. They were scheduled to play 10 games. He played 7, so he missed 3 games that year. So it was 13. He missed 10 of his 23 remaining games in college football. And when he came out, he went 3rd overall, and no one batted an eye. He was coming off the Liz Frank injury. He got hurt early September of the 2020, I think the 2021 to 2022 season. And
Yep.
he got surgery on September 26th. He didn't play again that rest of that year. It was an extensive rehab and everything. No one batted an eye about taking Stingley third overall with the injuries. You know what I mean? So it's like, even though I get it, like people say, well, you could project he's going to stay hurt in the NFL. Stingley's an all-pro. Stingley's got a contract. Stingley's been healthy ever since. He's battled. He had an ankle sprain. He had the Liz Frank concussion. I think he had a concussion one game, during his career that he maybe missed a game or two. Stingley had some injuries. So I just want people to understand, just some things, like you said, are freak injuries. And it's not something that you can bank on repeating. The broken clavicle or fractured clavicle, you can't bank on that happening
Right.
3 times in the career. You know what I mean? And again, you watch the tape, he goes after every ball that Sam Levitt throws him. Some guy, Ray, how many times we've seen wide receivers in the NFL be like, they don't even jump. They just look at the quarterback like, bro, you know better than that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and you can see him telling them, bring it down. I'm not going, like, bring the ball down. Like, in the NFL, you're not going to have that type of scattered QB chart in terms of placement when you get to the NFL if you're Jordan Tyson.
You think he can be a 1 at the next level? Do you think Tyson
I
could
think
be
he can develop into one.
Okay.
He's got to work on some of the route running stuff.
Well, let's move on to the sort of the big 3, the final one inside that big 3 band. Some people have him as the wide receiver 1, but I am talking about USC's very own Makai Lemon, and a lot of comparisons to Amon-Ra St. Brown, Bolitnikoff Award winner. He just completed his pro day where he ran anywhere from a high 4.4, mid 4.5s. He's a 4.5 kind of guy, and that is fine enough for the role in which he's going to play at the next level. I've got Lemon again at 2, but it really is, it's honestly, it's negligible. It doesn't really matter wherever you want to place him, 1, 2, or 3. He's inside of that top three bucket. Just talk about Lemon. I still stand by. I'm a USC fan. Okay. So I try to put the bias aside. I just don't see Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's hard for me to see. I remember what he was at USC and how Amon-Ra was utilized at SC, and he was good after the catch, but it feels like Lemon is a little bit different than that. They feel a little different, and I think it's easy to make the comparison because they're both light-skinned, they both played inside at the slot, but I think Lemon is one of 2 things, and I heard this from some people, from some USC insiders, that he was a little bit lighter in 2024, and the tape looks like he played a bit faster in 24 than he did in 25. It looked like he bulked up to handle a different type of role this year. What are your thoughts on Lemon overall?
We have a phrase was like, guys who are quote unquote smaller, you can clearly tell nobody told him that. Like, nobody told him he's a 5'11" wide receiver. He is tough. He is physical. The yards after catch is probably his superpower to me. This is a guy that will pinball off of tackles and sitting right. I was at the podium, so I saw the look. You know what I mean? He didn't make eye-to-eye contact with me, but I saw the look, Ray. And that same look is how he plays. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just, it's tough, it's physical, it's gritty. You see the ability to make plays after the catch. He's really good in space, outstanding hands. And as a route runner too, like if you're in the slot and you're playing him with a safety, good luck with that. Like, this is a guy that stems safeties and flat-footed guys very well. He like, you see the shake route there,
Yeah.
be able to drop his weight, change directions very well. But his ability, he's probably one of the top guys in this class of running the double moves in terms of the post corner post. He does such a great job of that, of selling head, shoulders, the using this full frame to sell that, hey, I'm running that post route. Then you see the hip sink and he breaks back out to the corner, or hey, I'm running that corner route, hip sink, work back in the middle of the field on the post. And then what I call the combat catches. Remember that catch? I think it was against Iowa, where he went up and the safety came and
Oh, yeah.
and they make a big collision. and he comes down nearly on the top of his head almost, but he secures the catch. This dude is he's so good. Like, he is such a good receiver, man. And I said this on Lockdown. We just broke down his film review and his Scott report on the pod a couple of days ago. At the end, we usually do like explain how great we do comps. I said if he works on the press coverage aspect of his game, feet first, hands second, the tempo and timing at the line of scrimmage, being able to, because he's going to come in, he came in with shorter arms, short wingspan, stuff like that. I looked at the numbers in terms of the measurements. It was very similar to Antonio Brown. And
Okay.
Antonio Brown was such a nuanced guy on the outside that it didn't matter that he was 5'10". It did not matter. The back shoulder fade was open, the curl routes, the in breakers, the out breakers, the vertical shots, the poster. He ran every route in the book. I think that when I look at Makai Lemon, he has that ability to run every single branch on the route tree. But if to project him on the outside, if we can get some of that nuance and technicality at the line of scrimmage, he can be a really good Z receiver.
See, and that
right
DP,
now, I think you turn that
I don't think he's going to play on the outside. I just don't, man. And even when you look at 12 personnel, where they've got two receivers on the field, your mind automatically goes one on each side, right? Got one on one side, one on the other side. But if you look at how USC deployed 12, they're stacked. And he's always the inside receiver. Very rarely do you see him playing isolated on the outside. He did it a little bit in 2024. But this past season, even when they were in 12, he was the inside receiver, which is fine. If you're going to tell me that I've got a slot-only player, the only outcome where I see he is an elite player is he turns into Amon-Ra. They build an offense around, we're prioritizing our inside guy, which that's happened before. The New England Patriots did it with Julian Edelman. The Lions are doing it with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Hell, when Juju Smith-Schuster they tried to put him into that role a little bit post-Antonio Brown, he lived primarily on the inside. And that's okay. I don't know why people think when you say this player is going to be a slot, Ladd McConkey, remember all that he can play on the outside. Ladd's goddamn slot receiver, and that's where he should be, on the inside. Two-way goes. Like, let them operate where they feel comfortable. Again, I've got Lemon at 2. It's tight between he and Tyson. Let me frame it to you like this. Which one of these guys off the rip is best positioned to be the Cleveland Browns? They take one of these guys 6th overall. Could any of them walk into Cleveland right now and be better than what's currently on the roster? Jerry Jeudy, Tillman, and I'm not talking about 2 years from now. I'm talking about they walk into that locker room and they are the guy from day one. Are any of these three, do they have the potential to do that? Give me your realistic thoughts on that from day one. And I'm going to give you a couple of different teams.
From day one for the Browns, I think all 3.
Okay.
Just from the talent the Browns have on their roster.
The New Orleans Saints.
No, I think Chris Olave will be the 1, and whoever is drafted will be the 2.
I agree with you. The Miami Dolphins.
All 3.
All 3. All 3 are the ones.
All 3.
Kansas City.
Well, I think based on what they have there, I would probably say either Tate or Tyson.
Okay,
those are the guys that could play. You
think they could be better than Rashee Rice? I'm not. You think there's a? I'm not saying it's a big chance.
Yeah.
There's a chance. You think maybe?
And I kind of factored in Rashee Rice's off the field stuff.
Well, I did as well. Let's factor in Rashee Rice's. Let's just say there's a world where he's gonna miss some time. Okay, knock on wood. Rashee, get it together. Yeah. I met the young man. Get it together, Rashee. Let's say Rashee Rice is not there. Could either of those guys come into Kansas City and be a better target earner than Xavier Worthy or Travis Kelce right now at this stage today?
I think Tate and Tyson could be. I
Okay.
think Tate and Tyson physically can come in there and be better, like target hogs in that sense. If I use that phrase, target hogs,
Yeah.
efficient target guys, because I think they both give you first, second, and third level production and capability. Where I still look at Xavier, waiting to see him fully develop in that realm.
And then the last one, let's talk about Tennessee. And I don't think Tennessee, we'll talk about it, but Tennessee Titans, they've got Elick, they've got Chimere Dike, you've got Ridley still in the building, I guess, sort of, kind of. And then they signed Wan'Dale Robinson. Could any of these guys be plopped into Tennessee and be prioritized as the number one option in Tennessee tomorrow?
I think Tate. I
You
think
think
Tate
Tate
could
could?
on the outside. Yeah, with his ball skills, like the sideline stuff he's able to do, I think that unlocks a lot of Cam Ward's game where he wants to push the ball vertically. I think him and Tyson probably could because they're both of them have the ball skills, the speed, the capability of taking the top off the defense and making plays at the catch point.
Okay, now I'm going to flip the script on you, all right? All
Mhm.
those situations where they could potentially be a one. And let's use Miami, let's use Cleveland, let's use Tennessee. We're not going to use Kansas City, we're not going to use New Orleans. Let's use those three options. You've got Tate in Cleveland, you've got Tyson in Tennessee, or Tate in Tennessee. What about if one of these guys end up on a team where they're not the number one? How good do you think they would be in a Baltimore, a New York next to Garrett Wilson, Baltimore next to Zay Flowers? And I'm gonna give people the pie in the sky one. They're operating as the 2 or 3 maybe in Los Angeles with Matthew Stafford. Would you take any of those receivers? Let's go. The ones that are most commonly talked about are Jordan Tyson and Makai Lemon. So Tyson and Lemon in Baltimore or Los Angeles, or Carnell Tate in one of those isolated spots where he's the one. Who do you think's got the better chance of having a successful NFL career? Because I know you like Zay Flowers. You
Mhm.
recognize how freaking good Puka Nacua is. Ain't nobody taking the one from Puka Nacua. Do you think any of those receivers in those spots as a complementary option are better than a Carnell Tate as the primary in a Cleveland, in a Tennessee, in one of those spots?
I think I think because you're talking about Baltimore and Rams, right? So
Baltimore
I
and the
think they
Rams and the
both
Jet, and I'm
could.
throwing the Jets out there as well.
Oh, the
I
Jets, the
know the
Jets,
court,
yes,
I
yes,
know the
yeah, yeah,
QB
yeah.
situation is bad, but next to Garrett Wilson, or I'm just throwing them in there as well.
Let's go. I would say whoever ends up with the Rams is definitely gonna have the better career, in my opinion. Like I
Okay,
think when you
even as
factor
the two or
how
three, even
Sean
as the 2 or 3.
if they're the two, I'll say I'm a caveat. If they're solely the two, like, and it's just long term. I think as a rookie, whoever goes into that number one spot, they're going to get they're going to get the target share. They're going to be the guy. But I think going forward, Devonta Adams leaves. You get a year to learn from one of the best to ever step foot in the NFL. You're paired with. I don't think there's a OC or a play caller that is so wide receiver friendly than Sean McVay. Sean McVay, he did it with Cooper Kupp. To watch his production with wide receivers and how he's able to get these guys open, like the route where he had Puka go in motion and release through the C gap,
Yeah,
right? Like who thinks about doing things like that? Like no one
it's
thinks of that stuff
ridiculous.
but Sean McVay, man. So I think back to just looking how he works with Cooper Kupp. You could rarely ever get hands on Cooper Kupp because he made sure you had to fight and be patient as a corner to try and press him because he was never on the line or he was in motion. There were things like he makes the wide receiver's job so much easier. I think whoever goes, I think either the Baltimore or Jet spot long term is a good spot too because you come in as a guy that doesn't have to face. Think about go back to Marv's first year, his first game against Buffalo. Buffalo doubled him out the gate in that game, week 1 on the road in Buffalo, his rookie year. Because I remember that was the game they could have won, but Kyler missed him wide open. I think on a post route downfield, he didn't even throw it. He didn't see him or whatever. But Buffalo doubled him in that game. You come in as a rookie wide receiver and there's nothing else in the cupboard like that. You're the guy, and you're going to get double coverage. You can motion guys a lot. there's still ways to bracket, Ray. You know that. Like, okay, we put you in motion, cool. We drop off in the zone. I got that linebacker, he's hook curling it. I got that corner, he's covered 3 it, but he's squatting and waiting for you to get into that frame. Now we got a bracket around you. We're not gonna let you get much yards after catch. We're gonna get you catch, and that's it. That's all you get. So there's ways to still bracket guys even with motion. But yeah, I think whoever goes to one, like the Ram spot is the one. Like that's the one. I think
that's the
with
spot.
play calling, that's the spot. Like, you know what I mean? And I would, like, again, you would love to get the target share, especially for fantasy. Think about Tate going to Cleveland. Yeah, but like Matthew Stafford, if you can squeeze not just one more, but if you can squeeze 2 years out of Stafford, yeah, I feel really good about whatever rookie wide receiver lands in that spot. I think, and again, I think going back to Baltimore real quick, I'm waiting for Baltimore to give Lamar his Anquan Bolden. Like, I'm waiting for that, right? That guy that just makes the plays down the field. Like, Joe Flacco doesn't win a championship, a Super Bowl, without Anquan Bolden coming into the fold, right? Like, you need that. And so I think that's a spot I would not. I'm not gonna lie to you, Ray. The Ravens is a spot I would love to see Tyson go to. Him
Okay.
and Zay
Him and
Flowers
Zay.
long term would be a dynamic duo for Lamar for the long haul.
You think that's a good 1-2 combination right there in Baltimore,
Yeah.
and then you've got the strong running game and Derrick Henry. Okay. All right, let's talk about some of these other receivers, okay, DP? So consensus board right now, 4, 5, and 6. Denzel Boston, wide receiver out of Washington, did not get any confirmed times. I'm a little disappointed in the Washington guys. Not that 40 time is everything, but let me see what you got. Let me see what you got in the toolbox, Denzel Boston. Now, the 3-cone was exceptional for somebody his size. Exceptional short area quickness. You've got Casey Concepcion, the wide receiver out of Texas A&M. Some reports this past week about a knee scope, some cleanup stuff in the knee.
Yeah.
And then we've got Omar Cooper Jr. We've got Omar Cooper Jr. out of Indiana as well. So those are 4, 5, and 6. Thoughts on that ranking right now? And if I remember correctly, you are not out on Denzel Boston, but you're not as high as consensus on Denzel Boston as others. Is that right?
Yeah, it's one I've struggled with this offseason. Just because there were moments where I looked at him and I'm like, because again, it's not just watching the film. I also I envision a guy against NFL talent, right? You know, you think for me, the games I'm going to go back to, because it's crazy that you brought up. I'm actually just this weekend. I have some time. I'm going to go back and watch his games against the best competition. You know, especially like the Ohio States and stuff like that. How did he fare Oregon against those secondaries? Because those secondaries have the guys of size and physicality that matches up well with them. But I just there were moments where I saw some of the Keon Coleman stuff, because Keon had some smoothness and short area quickness to his game, but it's like the top end speed and things of that nature just didn't translate to the league as well. But I do think that Denzel Boston, I understand why people really love him. You know what I mean? The ball skills are there. That short end, the ability to run a whip route at 6'4", 210, 215, to stop on the dime and pivot back out of there, guys, I promise you. Body type, but anatomically, that's not normal. Like, you don't see guys able to just physically do that from an anatomy standpoint. So I love seeing that from him. He has short area quickness. He has more fluidity to his game and everything. I would have loved to see the time. My thing is this: if you're not going to Xavier Restrepo yourself and run a 4.8 or something crazy like that, just test. If you run a 4.58, just test, man. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna tell you, Ray, I mean, you're a former college athlete. You know, some of these schools, I'm not gonna call them out because I know a couple. They put the cones out, right, to give you the imaginary 40-yard lines. Some schools bring the second half of those cones at 39 and a half. And I just want people to understand that, you know. So some of these pro D times, you're like, oh man, he ran the 4.4, he ran the 4.5 at combine. I was like, yeah, he didn't run the full 40, he ran the 39. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna call out any schools, but that's just some stuff I have. But like, I don't mind Boston being at 4. KC, I know why people have some drawback within the scope. Definitely this late in the process. little bit of a concern. You know what I mean? A little bit of a concern. We
It
didn't see him
is.
test. It was like, was that a reason why? He didn't run and stuff like that. Because his game is built off dynamicism, electricity, explosiveness, things like that. He's got some concentration drops and some hand
He
mechanics
does.
issues with some of the drops that you got to work on. And then I like Omar Cooper Jr. And I love seeing him kind of rise up rankings right now. Good athlete, good route runner, but he's just a battle tested dude, gives you yards after catch as well. So he's a perfect Shanahan wide receiver in this class. Him and Jeremy Bernard. You're talking about a guy that fits what Kyle Shanahan wants. Both of those guys are it.
Let's talk about two players, and we'll kind of wrap up here. Jacoby Lane. Let's start with Jacoby Lane being on the top 10. So no Ted Hurst on this list. What other receivers can you think about off the rip that are not on this consensus top 10 that you think should be on here? You got Ted Hurst.
Malachi Fields.
No Malachi Fields on the list. No Elijah Surratt. Elijah Surratt's not on the list either. Elijah Surratt's not on the list. No, the other Indiana receiver, Elijah Surratt's not on the list. Who else do we have?
No Skylar Bell.
No Skylar Bell. No Skylar Bell on the list. What do you think about Jacoby Lane being here? And I remember coming into the season, our boy Jordan Reed over at ESPN had him potentially as one of the top guys in this class. The size, the frame, he's sort of leapfrogged by his own teammate in Makai Lemon. But what are your thoughts about Jacoby Lane being on this list? I haven't watched him. He does some freakish stuff. There's the consistency there is just, it's just not all the way there for Lane. I think he's a limited athlete, even though some of the times are good. I know he ran a fast straight line 40. I think he's okay. He feels like the type of receiver, DP, that will go in the NFL and make the spectacular catch, and then you just don't hear from him a couple of weeks. And then remember like Tyrell Shavers at the end of the year? He's having the legacy game and the big plays. I think Lane is okay, but I don't see a true every down contributor on the outside for any of the 32 teams. Chris Brazzell, you, our boy Cam White on X, y'all have been all aboard the Chris Brazzell train. And I'm going to just let you know right now, I'm not on that train, DP. I'm not there yet. I'm coming around a little bit more because I think my feed is just catered to you guys right now. So I just keep seeing more Brazzell, more. This is not the same. Because there's a long list of Jalen Hyatts, Cedric Tillmans, Deontay Thorntons that have not worked out, that just came from the same damn system. And here you are telling me that this is different. This is different, Ray. This is different, draft community. Chris Brazzell is a true wide receiver. So I'm going to give you the floor to talk about Brazzell.
Yeah, man. For me with Brazzell, it was when I went in to watch him, I was expecting Deontay Thornton running just the 9 routes and stuff like that. But as I watched him, I saw a guy that had much more natural feel for playing the wide receiver position. That ability to sink his hips and drive out the breaks, to use his speed and manipulate, right? He is a good acceleration to decel game. And I love to see that with wide receivers, because it's just like Keith always talk about, we see a lot of receivers that are fast that run nowhere fast. Can you alter your speeds and your tempos to force a guy to believe you're going vertical? That's going to open up everything else, the in breakers, the out breakers, the comeback routes, so forth and so on. I think also with him, you just see a smoothness. Like, this is a 6'4", 200-pound wide receiver that has much better hips than he should. And so watch his game, and then watch how he's trained the past off season, and how that translated to the field. I see a guy that, to me, if you tell him, hey, we want you to run more routes, he's going to be able to run more routes for you. Yeah, Josh Allen still ran a kind of somewhat a limited route tree, I believe. So, I don't know if you guys ever utilized this website. It's called Summer Sports, SUMER Sports. Love their stuff.
Good stuff.
They some of the numbers and stuff that they have up there for like the draft class in general, from an analytics standpoint, for Chris Brazzell, they have his route tree put up here. 22% of his routes were goes. 18, almost 19% were curls. He ran 12%, almost 12% posts, crossing routes, screens. He did different things. I think this is a guy that can do more in the NFL, but then also he gives you that 4.37 speed to take the top off. He can go up and attack the ball at his highest point and everything. I just think that this is, because I remember watching Thornton, it was like goal ball or nothing. Like it was just like, just run to a space, run to the void. Same thing with Jalen Hyatt, right? Cedric Tillman I thought would have been better. But then I think athletically he left me like a lot to be desired. So I think there's a lot more that you can get out of Chris Brazzell. I even went back and looked at some of his Tulane tape because he had like almost 800 yards, I think 2 years ago in Tulane. And I was like, okay, it makes sense. I see why Tennessee went after the young man. He can play, man. I think that I just think he gives you a 3-level threat. I think he's got a high ceiling with that physical traits he has. Want to see him play a little bit better through contact at the line of scrimmage, get a little bit. He's a little thin, similar to Tate. This guy's a tall, long arms, long legs. See if you can bulk him up a little bit, just get a little bit more dense with the frame, and that allow you to kind of counteract that power at the line of scrimmage.
All right, let's go to some questions really quick. Shout out to Jason. Jason, big college football fan, big fan of the show. I know he watches your work as well, DP. He said Chris Bell. Yeah. Chris Bell was in this group before he got hurt, and then there are a couple of comments about Antonio Williams. DP, you're in South Carolina. You have covered Clemson. You know about this team. Antonio Williams coming into the season, you can't find an analyst that didn't have him inside the top 5 receivers in the class. So I love Chris Bell. Little limited route tree, a lot of crossers, a lot of short stuff, but you're talking about 6'2", 220 and can fly. Chris Bell, Antonio Williams, talk about those two young men.
Yeah, Chris, I think, but when he got hurt, I believe he was either my wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4. Like he was.
I had him in the first. Easy. He was firmly inside the first round for me. He was firmly inside the first round for me as well.
You can't teach that. He said at the combine, yeah, if I was healthy to run out here, I'm hitting 4 threes. And I'm like, I believe you. I 100% believe you, because the yak ability, the strength after the catch, and then the open field speed, things you just can't teach. I can work on what routes you run best, and we can figure that out as a coaching staff. But the physicality, the physical tools that he has, you can't give that to anybody. That's God given. Antonio Williams, I talked to a scout after his pro day, and he said, don't be shocked if he's a top 75 pick. And I was like, I wouldn't be shocked at all. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked at all. Like, good route runner, run after catch. He's got a dense build to work that kind of slot receiver role. Runs a good blaze out route. He's got enough speed, and he tested well. I think he might have jumped 38 in the vert. He ran 4.4 in the 40. He looked good in Indianapolis, right? And unfortunately, week 1 against, would love to see him and Mansour Delane lock horns 1-on-1, but he had the hamstring injury and things of that nature. So that's the main thing for him is the injuries. They've kind of like, he's had injuries like I think every year since he's been in college and everything. So that might be something that teams knock him for, because he missed a decent part of the beginning of the season. But he can play, man. This young man, and he'll go up and battle for the ball. I see that. I saw that in the chat. I wouldn't be shocked if he's a guy that goes to Miami. If Miami doesn't go receiver early, you can go. If you say, hey, do I want to get Makai Lemon or Jordan Tyson at 11? Do we want to take BPA at another position? And then second round, third round, you take Antonio Williams, and he's your new slot receiver. I could definitely envision that happening.
Jason said Braylon Staley will probably be coming out next year too. He's legit. Going to have to change the narrative on Tennessee wide receivers, saying that we need to. They
got another one too. They got a 5-star kid. I think he's either going to be a sophomore or a true junior. I think his name is Mike Matthews, if he's still there, if he hadn't transferred. I remember when I was doing the Clemson pod, Clemson was chasing after him, and he went straight to Tennessee. Him, David Sanders, the left tackle, like they pulled a lot of guys that Clemson was trying to go after. Young man can play. He can hoop. Clemson got 2 more receivers that's draft eligible next year. Bryant Wesco and TJ Moore.
Wesco and Moore.
I mean? So, yeah.
Talk about Ted Hurst. Ted Hurst, 6'4", 206, 40-yard dash was exceptional. I've been going back and forth. Do you think Hurst is going to be a day 2 pick? I need him to be drafted inside that top 100. Do you think he's got a shot to be 2nd or 3rd round pick, or do you think the Georgia State is going to get him pushed down the board a little bit?
No, I think he definitely goes top 100, man. With
Okay.
that size and athleticism, he played well at the Senior Bowl. He actually came into the Senior Bowl because someone told me he played during the season like less than 190, and they say he bulked up for the Senior Bowl. Like they say they saw him in person, he was like, yeah, he's much bigger and stronger, more physical. The speed, the ball skills. Heck, you talked about you said Carnell Tate as George Pickens. I've said that Ted Hurst is a George Pickens variant of this class. This dude's
He looks like him.
timing,
He looks
hand-eye
like him.
coordination, everything, man. Like he plays the ball so well. But you go back to his tape, he's a much quicker and fluid mover than the 6'4" frame will make you believe. So I think somebody's going to look at Ted Hurst on day 2. I think we're going to get a run of wide receivers on day 2, and he's coming off the board top 100.
All right. I'm looking through the comments. I think that it'll be Edge. Small chance it's Love. Overall thoughts on the class. Again, I think the wide receiver class is good. I don't know how many. Listen, you may not get a Malik Neighbors. There may not be a damn Jamar Chase in the class, and that's fine. We'll probably get that next year. We'll probably, between Cam, between Marsh, between that other guy at Ohio State, I forgot his name. Between those guys, we'll probably get some higher end talent. But your overall thoughts on the position, DP?
Man, I think it's you get guys at the top who are, like we talked about at the beginning of the show, more suited early as 2s, but they have developmental upside to become 1s.
Like that.
Depending on how you want to use your receivers. What's the point of your passing offense? Where's that starting point? These guys can develop into that. And then I think a lot of other guys, Chris Brazzell, high ceiling guy, Chris Bell, high ceiling guy, that you talking about the physical tools, the speed, the height, the weight, whatever, they can develop into being potential 1s at their peaks. But then there's a lot of 2s and 3s, and honestly, you need that, right? If you're going to be in 11 personnel, 10 personnel, you need some good 2s and 3s, man. And I think that's what this class offers. I was on I think it's called Fantasy Denzel. I can't remember the name of the pod I was on the other day. You can scroll on my timeline and you'll find it. But I was on there the other night, early this week, and we talked about this wide receiver class. And I said, man, it's like walking into an ice cream shop. Like you're going to be able to find whatever flavor you want, and everything, and you'll feel good about it. Some teams might want to get 2 scoops of that wide receiver too. You know what I mean? The Patriots did it for so long of not having that bona fide 1 with Tom Brady. They had a bunch of 2s and 3s, and they made you have to play them honest, right? It's not just, hey, I'm doubling one guy. Oh, okay, cool. I got to play man-to-man evenly. And teams really don't want to do that, to be completely honest. Like if all my weapons are capable of beating you at any moment, that's a terrifying thought for a defense. Because how do you structure your game plan? Who do you roll coverage to? No, I make you roll coverage mid-game. Because based on the hot hand, you start rolling it that way, cool. You want to take away Julian Edelman? Fine, I'm hitting Chris Hogan up the seam. I'm hitting Danny Amendola backside on that option route. I got Gronk breaking up the seam. You know what I mean? It's just things like that, man. So I think, for teams drafting wide receivers, if you even got your wide receiver 1 and 2, the Cincinnati Bengals, you got Chase, Higgins, Yoshevas. I'm still drafting 1.
Drafting 1. I'm with you.
I'm still drafting 1.
I'm with you.
Late day 2, early day 3. I'm still doing it because at any moment somebody's contract comes up. Hey, we can't pay Yoshevas. I could put somebody else in that spot and they can cook because now you're the 3rd option in our passing offense.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this class has, as you said, every flavor. What do you want? And maybe some of these guys are that missing complement to help unlock what this number 2 receiver that's already in the league can be and how this can open things up for an ascending player. How much better Zay Flowers could be if you put a proper wide receiver 2 next to him. He had 1,200 yards this year. Maybe he's a 1,350 kind of guy next year. So I totally agree with you. I see somebody talking about, don't forget white boy Charlie Becker 2027. Yeah. Man. Yeah. I've got a thing here. When there's some bad white boy wide receivers, I give him, just like Alec Pierce, I call him Antoine Pierce. Charlie Becker's Travarius Becker. Travarius Becker in 2027 will be one of the top wide receivers that we discuss. But DP, I appreciate you jumping on a Friday, Football Friday. We normally do this on Thursdays, but Had some family stuff come up. For all of y'all out there listening and not watching live, you can find all DP's content on his social media feed at DP_NFL. Go over to YouTube at The Scouting Room on YouTube. He's a scout for Bleacher Report. He co-hosts a show with our boy Keith Sanchez, Locked On NFL Draft. Just go to Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Type on Locked On NFL Draft. There are DP and Keith talking ball every single damn day. He's got his own channel. We appreciate you tapping here in on this channel. As we go through the draft, we'll keep this going. Maybe we'll go running backs next week, DP. Talk through the running back class next week. Maybe we'll go different position, maybe hit the defense as well. Talk about some of those guys. We appreciate each and every eye, each and every ear. Hit the thumbs up button. Like this stream. Subscribe to both channels. Have a fantastic and blessed weekend. And we shall see y'all next week, baby. We out. Peace. Good stuff, DP.